The best year of Flesh and Blood yet? Hello and welcome to the table, and today I am back for a Flesh and Blood video, this time a tier list video, and talking about a couple other things I'll get to later. But today, let's talk about, first off, the sets that have come out for Flesh and Blood in 2025, because this year has released a ton of absurdly good product, and the sets are not lacking. So let's talk about it. So we got Hunted, a return to one of the best settings, in my opinion, the best setting in all of Flesh and Blood. We got High Seas, the pirate set that also introduces necromancers. We got Super Slam, the return to heavy hitters, the introduction of the Golden Age of Flesh and Blood, with a gigantic expansion slot, with some absurdly good reprints, not just in Super Slam, but in High Seas and Hunted as well. I mean, we got so much to talk about. So let's dive right into it. Starting off with Hunted, it introduced the Mark mechanic. We got the Dragon Warrior himself, Poe, not Poe, different thing. That's Kung Fu Panda. But no, we got Fane, the Dragon Warrior. We got Syndra, the new and improved Fi, that is so fun. We got, what's it called? Freaking Arachne, Chaotic, Crazy Boy. We got Mario or Mary, whoever you want to. I prefer Mary. But we got the newest Arachne in Hunted. And we got some reprints too. We got Command and Conquer reprinted. We even got Shelter from the Storm, one of the best D-Reacts ever made. I mean, this set was insane. So, we're giving it a solid A tier. Now, I know what you're saying, why is it not an S tier? I'll explain why in a second, but in general, this set was absurdly good. It is the good old high quality goody goodness that we know to expect in any Flesh and Blood set that is ever released. And for those reasons, you gotta put it in A tier. I mean, marked, great mechanic. Heroes, absolutely wonderful. Set itself, great quality. Reprints, also solid. What's there to complain about? Well, it doesn't have pirates, which is why High Seas is going in S tier. That's not the only reason it's going in S tier, but that's one of the reasons. But High Seas is going in S tier because it reminds me a lot of Part of the Mistveil. Now, Heavy Hitters was an insanely good set. And in my opinion, it's similar to Hunted in my book, as far as like quality level. Hunted is just a really high quality, like modern day high quality, Flesh and Blood set that we've come to love and enjoy. Rosetta, Hunted, Heavy Hitters, they're kind of all on that level of just being so good. They're so fun, and they got so many good things. But High Seas and Part the Mistveil are just in their own tier, in my opinion. Part the Mistveil especially. I would say, of all the sets in Flesh and Blood, and realistically in any trading card game I have ever played, which is not a small amount, I would say Part the Mistveil is at the top of that list, with High Seas very, very close behind. And while High Seas does not have the art that Part the Mistveil does, in my opinion, it does have pirates. And not as piratey of pirates as I would want. Yeah, Gravy Bones, it was a good pirate. He was a very piratey pirate. But he was more focused on necromancy than he was pirate stuff. So the only complaint that I have for High Seas is that it didn't have the most piratey pirate hero ever. But it had necromancers and pirates introduced in the same set. It was an absurdly high quality set. Like, absurdly high quality. There was nothing bad about that set, as far as quality goes. The heroes were super unique and interesting. Now, granted, probably a little worse than the Hunted heroes in some ways, in my opinion. But not all the ways. I don't know. High Seas, in general, I would say, is just that Part of the Mistveil completely changed things. Like, Gravy Bones is just like, oh, God. And, pirates and all that kind of whatnot. It changed the game, if you will. And, I mean, for all those reasons. And it also reprinted Codex of Reality. That's also not something to, just pass by. It also also reprinted Codex. So that's also great. So overall, High Seas, even though it didn't have the most piratey pirate, and it's not Part the Mist Veil, is the best set that Flesh and Blood has ever introduced outside of Part the Mist Veil. And that is saying something. So, it deserves a very solid place in S tier. But then I have Super Slam, which, very good set. I'm not saying it's not. But it fell a little bit short, especially compared to Hunted and High Seas, which is why I'm putting it in B tier. Now, why is that? It had a great expansion slot. It's the biggest expansion slot we have ever seen. It had some really solid reprints, what's it called? Flick Knives. Very glad to see that reprinted and not be $100+ because that card has no right to be that expensive. It's a good card. It is not that good. It is not on the same tier as Final Spring Tunic, which I'm very sad didn't get reprinted this year. But I'll get to that later too. And Enlightened Strike, which I'll also get to later. But Super Slam, I mean, it had a really good expansion slot. It did. Not complain about the expansion slot at all. But it was lacking as far as the rest of the set goes. When it comes to the heroes, I would say they are disappointing. Between Heavy Hitters and Super Slam, I would say that's kind of its own little era. The golden age of Flesh and Blood, I would say, is Heavy Hitters to Super Slam. Golden Age of Flesh and Blood. And out of all of those heroes and out of all those sets, Super Slam is the worst. The heroes just are lacking. The only one that's really interesting is Pleiades. The other three, not as much. Live, is a fun deck brewer's challenge, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing super absurdly interesting. Pleiades, though, it's cool. But overall, I would say the heroes are kind of They're nothing too crazy, especially compared to Hunted and High Seas, in my opinion. Besides that, there's also, talk about the set itself just not being insane. I mean, it had some good stuff for something like Sage, like Strong to Survive. That's sweet. It did have some really good, new Brute cards, because Brutes need all the help they can get. But it's nothing really insane. Like, insanely insane. So, it's kind of an set. It's not like a bad set. It's just kind of compared to, like, some of the other stuff that's come out this year. Like Hunted and High Seas. Which Hunted, I am, like, this close to putting in S tier. Because the reason that there are 3 different tiers for each of these decks is because, I mean, High Seas is in that Part the Mist Veil level of just, oh my gosh, kind of quality. It's that good of a set. It's just, like, with Hunted, Rosetta, and Heavy Hitters, with sets like that was kind of like the new expectation for what we're getting. Just like that extra level of quality. Like, LSS puts out absurdly high quality products. And stuff like Hunted is just kind of it's just those kind of products that we expect at this point. Just that good, high quality, goody goodness that LSS has been giving us lately. And something like High Seas is just one step above that, like with Part the Mist Veil. Now, Hunted is very close to there. I want to put it there. I do. But it's just I could put it there. I could. I want to give them each their own different tiers, because High Seas introduced 2 new classes, basically, and they did a really good job at it, which I think makes it deserving of having one tier a little bit higher than Hunted. But for the set itself, I mean, Hunted has just as good of cards, in my opinion, as High Seas does. But then Super Slam is just kind of that a little bit below the modern day level of quality we expect to see from a set. I mean, in the Golden Age, it is the worst of the sets. And because of that, I think it should just kind of be in its own tier compared to the other 2 sets that have come out this year. it's just like, you know? It's very compared to Hunted and High Seas. I mean, Hunted and High Seas were great sets, and you look at Super Slam, and it's very disappointing in comparison. And it's not very disappointing, it's just disappointing, if that makes sense. But besides the sets themselves, I do want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about the rest of the year, or the rest of the stuff that's come out this year. And I also want to talk about some stuff for next year, but we'll get to that in a second. But so, we got the 3 sets that came out this year. Super great. But we also got some other really good stuff. Some new player products. Like Mastery Pack Guardian, which I didn't want to slot into its own kind of set. I mean, it is its own kind of set, but it's more of a supplemental product. Because Guardians, prior to this, worst class in the game. I will not say that it wasn't. It was the worst class in the game. And Mastery Pack Guardian, along with Super Slam 2, Super Slam did help. But Mastery Pack Guardian, in my opinion, more so than Super Slam, allowed Guardians as a class to just become stronger, more versatile, and just not the worst class in the game anymore. You know, Brutes and Warriors weren't too far behind. I think Brutes have gotten a little bit better, thanks to Super Slam. And now Warriors are the worst the worst class in the game, which sucks because they're my favorite class in the game. But whatever. Pirates are there too, but it's Warriors. But I think the Mastery Packs, having one kind of this thing every single year, like next year having a Mastery Pack Warrior, great. I think it's going to do super, super, super well. And just having that ability to make classes that are just a little bit below the modern day level of like, whoa, like ninjas, let's say, in a year from now, or just not nearly as good as like a new kind of ninja or something like that. Like there's a new class, kind of like ninjas, it comes out and it's just, ninjas aren't as good as they used to be anymore. They need some help. Okay, a Mastery Pack Ninja comes out, and it gives ninjas that extra supplemental support that you would get from something like a supplemental set that's no longer around anymore. And just, instead of focusing on giving one hero a ton of support to make that hero good and playable, like in a main set, it supplements the class as a whole, and not just one hero. And I think that's really cool. Besides that, we also got Smash Palace, which, great product. For Magic the Gathering, for you watching this video, you probably know what Magic the Gathering is. You probably know what Commander is, multiplayer format for Magic the Gathering is. Smash Pass is basically like, let's get myself, 3 of my buddies, 2 of my buddies, whatever. Let's sit down, let's play some casual multiplayer crap. And that's Smash Palace in a nutshell. It's just you and a couple of buddies having a time, just having a good old fun time, and just not having like much care in the world. That's Smash Palace. It's just good fun for one night. And that's a great way to introduce people to a game. It's like, this is a really fun game. It's got some really good mechanics that kind of get a little bit hooked. And then that can get them into the game. It's a great way to introduce people, especially people who primarily play Magic the Gathering and Commander in the game, or just want some multiplayer stuff into the game and that kind of whatnot. So Smash Palace, great. Besides that, we got Army decks. Came out originally last year, but now we got quite a few new ones. We got Army Deck Aurora, which is a great Army deck. It sucks that Aurora LL'd, but the Army deck itself, really high quality. It was a great way to introduce people into the game. Max Nitro, also solid. I mean, Max obviously isn't the best deck in the game, but you know, it was fine. But having stuff like Gravy Bones, great Army deck. It made Gravy better. It was a great way to get people who really wanted to get into a very, 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 very expensive deck into the game for way cheaper. Ira basically became the new Aurora Army deck. People just getting into Classic Constructed. What do I get? Ira. You get the Ira Army deck. It's the way to introduce people into Classic Constructed, in my opinion now. Just get them the Ira Army deck, or build your own Ira Army deck, and give it to them. I mean, it is just so good. You got the introduction of the Legends Armory decks, which Living Legends, not as important of a format in LSS's eyes compared to something like Silver Age right now, which I think is a good thing. I don't want LL to die by any means, and I don't think it's going to, But I think that if they focus on that format a little less right now and get people really into Silver Age and show we really want this to go because we really want to introduce people into the game in a cheap manner, because, you know, Classic Constructed is not a cheap format. So having a cheap way to introduce people into the game, get them hooked, then want to buy something like the Armory deck and upgrade from there, having Silver Age and giving that a firm foundation and just cementing it as a format that's gonna stick and not go anywhere anytime soon, I think is a great thing, and just have them focus on that and then get to LL later. So these LL Armory decks didn't really do a ton. They kind of weren't too big of a deal, but it's not like they were bad. Pleiades, Super Slam, it was fine. Reiner was kind of a fall off. The Arachne Armory deck, if you looked at my latest Armory deck video that Classic Constructed-ish budget guide Armory or Flesh and Blood video, Jesus, that came out last week for Arachne. Hey, get into Silver Age with Arachne. Then, if you get the Armory deck, upgrade it with this deck or something like that. That, I think, was a very good product. Arachne Armory deck was a really good product because, I mean, Hunter's Clave got reprinted in there. That was a great reprint because that card used to be $50. And that card should not be $50. It's a weapon. So getting stuff like that reprinted, great. And I love that about Armory decks. So Armory decks themselves this year, really good. They did a really good job. And then moving into next year, we got Silver Age. We're moving past the Golden Age of Flesh and Blood. And we're moving into the Silver Age of Flesh and Blood. Which... see what I did there? That's funny. But Silver Age, I think, is going to be such a good format for Flesh and Blood. And I love that they're introducing these decks. Fully tuned decks. Buy for $10-15, however much they cost. And then boom, you're good. Boom. And it's just like, now you and your friend, for $20 in total, can just sit down, play against each other for hours on end. And then your opponent's like, you know, this game's really fun. And then they slowly get into the game from there. They get an Armory deck, and then they slowly upgrade it. They find what their favorite deck, their favorite hero is, and then they just kind of build on it from there. And I think having Silver Age as a format to get people into the game and then just allow them to transition into Classic Constructed over time and find their deck and then go with it, I think is just so good. And for people like me who want to build 1,000 decks and really can't with Classic Constructed, having Silver Age as an outlet to just, for 500 decks, just build them and then boom, you're good, is so great. And I love that about Silver Age too. So Silver Age is just great. It's absolutely wonderful. And also Compendium of Wraith. I think Compendium of Wraith is going to be the best set that has ever come out in Flesh and Blood. And that is saying something. I hold Parthimus Veil to such a high pedestal. Probably more than I should, but I don't care. And I mean, it is just going to be so good. It's going to have the best reprints this game has ever seen. It's going to probably have some of the best cards this game has ever seen as far as like the quality of a set goes. And heroes and all that kind of whatnot. I mean, we're getting Balance of Justice reprinted. Crown of Providence reprinted. Quick Dodge Flexors reprinted. Fyendal's Spring Tunic reprinted. Finally, I've been wanting that card to be reprinted for so long, and it's finally going to get reprinted. And I'm buying 2 boxes of this set just to pray to God that I finally get a Tunic, because, oh my God, I've been waiting for so long. Shelter to Storm's getting reprinted. Warmonger, or not Warmonger's Diplomacy, which actually that got reprinted in Super Slam too. I did not bring that up, but that was also a really good reprint in Super Slam. But Enlightening Strike is also going to get reprinted in Compendium of Wraith. All the reprints are going to come out in that next set, just are going to make it so good. So good. And I'm looking forward to it. So, with all that aside, I hope you all enjoyed this video talking about the end of the Golden Age of Flesh and Blood. Talking about the year itself, how good of a year it was, and talking a little bit about how next year, the introduction of the Silver Age of Flesh and Blood, and I hope that you all are looking forward to that. So with all that said, hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, it's completely for your own credits. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you next time.